All right, 4 days, that's how far away we are from the special primary in Prince George's County. Affordable housing, schools, public safety. These are just some of the issues the next county executive will have to tackle. And 11 people are vying for that job. The office was once held by Angela Alston-Brooks before she went on to the U.S. Senate. We invited all candidates, all 11 of them, to join us in studio for a live interview talking about the issues that impact you at home. Today we are joined by Republican George McDermott. He's a victims' rights advocate and a resident of Forest Heights. Mr. McDermott, thank you so much for being here with us.
I thank WUSA for having me.
Well, let's start with the first question, the big question. Why do you want the job? Why are you the man for it?
Well, I want the job because it's time that people learn the real truth about what our government, our corporate government has done to this country. And the only way I can get that message out is to run for office and to let people know what is happening to the majority, 90% of our citizens in this country who are being disenfranchised of their legal and constitutional rights by the wealthy and the high-powered politicians who, once they're in office, they have no respect for the oath of office or their bonding or to the Constitution of the United States, which is now apparently we are a federal corporation under the U.S. Code. It's Title 28 U.S.C. 3006A, and I want answers. This affects all phases of our state and federal government.
Well, let me get to that point, because you often talk about this section 15A, where it talks specifically about the United States. And I actually pulled it up because I think for a lot of us that may not be sort of scholars in the Constitution, we were certainly curious because this is something that you talk about often. It's also available on your website. When it talks about the United States, it says a couple of things. One, you're right, a federal corporation, B, an agency, department, commission, board or other entity of the United States, or C, an instrumentality of the United States. It doesn't talk about the sort of United States being a federal corporation in that it is anything other than a sovereign nation. So can you explain to us why your definition of this is different from the one that we understand it to be?
Well, that definition right there tells you everything. It's telling you that it's now a sovereign nation and a corporate entity. It has its own listing on Wall Street, and the agents and assigns in these, every corporation, every agency in the United States government has its own Wall Street DUNS number.
But sir, in the context of a race for county executive in Prince George's County, folks at home aren't worried about the sort of federal corporation of the United States. They're concerned about a couple of issues, the ones that we've outlined for you: affordable housing, safety, healthcare. So can we get to those issues? Because I think that's what people are curious about.
Because they're all related. Yes, I would be more than glad.
So let's talk about the budget deficit in Prince George's County. If you were elected county executive of Prince George's County, this would be something that you would be responsible for tackling. The county is looking at a $170 million budget deficit. How are you going to get the budget balanced, and what are you going to do to support county residents?
Well, any candidate who comes into this office who's running for office cannot, they can tell you something, but until they get into office, they can't analyze and tell where this budget is. Okay? It's not only the $170 million, the state has the $3 billion deficit, and the federal government right now, according to today's time clock, debt clock, we are $37 trillion in debt. And
so what are you going to do about the $170 million budget deficit in Prince George's
County?
That's the only thing that you would have purview over.
Once you go in, the first thing I would do is I'd order an audit of the county state's attorney's office. I would have control over that, because most of the deficit comes from what's happening in and the failure of the state's attorney's office and the judicial system
That's not
to
true.
protect rights.
That's
Oh, yeah,
not,
it does.
That's not true. As a matter of fact, a lot of the budget deficit comes from Blueprint Maryland.
Well,
They talk specifically about the impact that the state's education budget and the money that's being spent on education in Prince George's County is having on the state budget. A lot of the deficit is associated with that. So
Well,
again, sir, how are you going to deal with that
Okay.
issue?
You can't deal with anything until you get in there. Yes, the education budget takes up over 50% of our budget. The judiciary and the public safety takes over almost another 20% of the budget. You know, now if you don't control what's going on and have accountability of the agencies that are responsible for providing our safety and providing for our courts to operate in a manner consistent with the rule of law, then that's going to trickle down and people are going to lose. We have people who are losing their homes, their businesses, and everything else. They can't file a complaint with the state's attorney against anybody who is committing white-collar fraud, probate fraud, elder care fraud, fraud in general. You cannot file a complaint with anybody in the state or federal system that when they're getting robbed of millions and billions of dollars, and yet Walmart will pick a phone up and say, we just saw somebody walk out with 2 loaves of bread. You'll have 3 cop cars there in probably 3 minutes. They'll arrest the person and prosecute them.
All right,
That's unfair.
Let's get to another issue that's important to county residents, which are property taxes in the county as well. They pay a lot, the second most in the state of Maryland. With property taxes also comes county services, trash removal, snow removal being one of those. How are you going to address and ensure that county residents get proper trash and snow removal?
Well, proper trash, I'm fortunate, I live in Forest Heights, Maryland. We have the best snow removal in the town. We have a wonderful town government. I don't ever worry about trash. The thing is people are screaming because they've built up communities so fast that we haven't built up the infrastructure to address those problems in these new communities.
And so how would you address it?
Well, then you have to first and foremost, you don't bring in a whole team of all new people. You address it. You go in. If you get into office, you keep the people who are in there, and then you go through and you'll have to start by analyzing each of their standards and what they are actually doing for the community. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the problem with our governments. They change. You get a whole new group of people in, and they throw away people who are highly skilled and proficient in their jobs.
Well, sir, elected leaders only have specific time periods in office. That's what a term limit is. And so with that also comes their staff. And so with a new administration comes new staff. This isn't anything that's new. This has been going on since our government has been around.
Well, this is true, but our government is getting more complex each day. And if you don't build on what you already have, build on the foundation you have. You don't go in like our current leader is doing. You don't come in and trash all agencies of the federal government with a billionaire, trillionaire, you might as well say, running the government, basically, firing everybody he can. He's putting our government at risk because these are highly skilled people. It takes years and years to train these people. You know, that's why you build on what you have, your resources. Until you get into office, you have to work for the people. You don't have to work for the people who pay to get you in office. Your primary function is to uphold and defend the Constitution and rule of law.
All right, let's talk about juvenile crime, which is another major issue in Prince George's County as well. We've reported, at least here at Channel 9, on the litany of carjackings, car thefts that have been committed by young people in the county. How do you potentially, as the county executive for Prince George's County, address this issue and ensure public safety is getting under control?
Well, the problem is once again, we go back to the courts. It's a recidivism rate where these youngsters are locked up for minor things to begin with. They automatically get a record. They can't get a job after that. They're felons. So at that point, you have a hard time. They're felons for life. You have a hard time rehabilitating them because they've seen what the good life is. We don't have recreation centers. I built one of the largest recreation facilities in the East Coast in the 1980s. Put millions of dollars into the largest roller skating rink and the largest racket club. And I had a mafia leader come into my office with my attorney and tell my wife she had to fire me from my business. They were just appointed the president, vice president of the corporation.
Mr. McDermott, you say that
Yes.
there are no recreation centers in Prince George's County. That also isn't true.
No, they're good. There are
the
some.
The county has several recreation centers. As a matter of fact, they just built two new ones over the last several years.
Yes, but they're huge recreation facilities. When I was growing up, you went to your local school at night. Okay, you had Boy Scout groups, Girl Scout groups, Cub Scout groups. You had people, the mother and father were home at night. They weren't working 2 jobs trying to just to get enough money to feed their family and keep a roof over their head.
So how does that address the issue of juvenile crime in Prince George's County, and what would you do specifically to address the issue?
I'll be honest with you, you have to go in the same way as you've done now. You have to get the people in the recreations department, the schools department, and get public parks involved and the police involved so that you can mentor these children and keep them out of going into a situation where they become criminals and it ruins their lives forever.
We were talking about the county budget. 62% of Prince George's County's budget is dedicated specifically to public education. We were just talking about this a second ago. What would you do to sort of change this sort of percentage? Do you feel that the county is spending too much on public education? Should it be less? Should it be more?
I think that there are areas where the county can be more conservative, but without risking the educational requirements of our children. We have some programs in the schools that are definitely unnecessary, but we're lacking in reading, writing, arithmetic, and we need to even have a course on from this 4th grade up on law to teach children what the Constitution and rule of law actually means. And if you don't protect it, you will lose it. So yes, once again though, how do you do it? You don't go out and bring all new people in. You get into office and you work with the people you've got, find out who is good, who is not. Instead of taking 9 months to go through this procedure because you got all new people.
Well, Mr. McDermott, let me ask this question. I mean, the idea is that you as a candidate are coming to the table with a plan. And so when people are asking you specific questions about what they can expect from you under your leadership, the idea is that you have some at least working knowledge of what the issues are and how you would address them. So again, as we go back to the issue of the county spending 62% of its budget on education, do you feel that that sort of metric makes sense? Where would you like to see the cuts specifically? You talk about programs, but we have yet to hear a specific program.
Well, what programs do you want me to,
Well, sir, that's your job. You're supposed to tell me.
No. What programs? I've been out of the school system in a while. All my children went to school in the 50s and 60s. They all graduated. You're going to ask me to give you an answer that can't be answered until you get in there. Because if somebody tells you they're going to do this and this, well, I'm going to cut away all these programs. That's irresponsible.
Mr. McDermott, we're running out of time, but I do want to ask you one question because you've run for office several times.
Yes.
Many of your campaigns have been largely unsuccessful as a Republican running in a very blue district. The question to you, sir, is this a serious campaign?
It's as serious as I can possibly make it. Okay? I'm an unfortunate candidate. Okay? I built my businesses in Prince George's County. And in the 1980s, I invested all the money I had, and it was stolen from me. And like I said, this goes back to the rule of law and how corrupt our court system is. I'm running this campaign. I have gotten, to everybody out there, I've gotten a total of $24 in donations in the last 4 years. $24. Okay, my house right now, my home right now has $600,000 worth of liens against it because the mafia-controlled judges and lawyers in this county are doing the same thing to myself and all other people in Prince George's County. So yes, I do run these campaigns, but even with that little amount of money, I still managed to get put through to the general election 3 times. And I'm proud of that because I let the people know I'm out here for one reason, to educate people that if you don't stand up for your Constitution, your Bill of Rights, we're going to lose it. And we are on a fast track to losing it right now.
All right. Well, Mr. McDermott, we're going to have to leave it there because we are out of time. So
thank you.
We really do appreciate your time
today. It's a pleasure. And
it's a pleasure.
If you do vote, I'd like you to vote. God bless everyone.
Right.
Have a good day.
God bless you as well. You take care, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, of course, we want to thank Mr. McDermott for being here with us. We appreciate his time. A reminder about some important dates. Early voting is currently underway. It ends on Monday, March 3rd. Primary day follows on March 4th. For more information on where to vote, background information on all of the candidates, take a look at our voter guide. It's on our website at WUSA9.com. We'll be right back.